There he is.
Now you got me.
What's going on, brother?
Everything and anything you can think of. But right now, man, it's 10 a.m. Tuesday morning, Melbourne. We're in lockdown. We have a 35-kilometer radius around the whole, the bay. And yeah, man, we're experiencing the full lockdown right now.
So just a full-on lockdown, man. You guys, so they got perimeters set up, man. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, and all the major highways have been, the major arterial roads that get you out into the country. They've got blockades and stuff, and you got to have your ID. You got to prove that you live where you're going towards. And the four exceptions of getting out at all are getting to work. If you're working and you can't work from home, doing what you're doing, getting some exercise in, healthcare. If you're there to help someone out who's who needs some healthcare and you got to help them, or childcare or something, compassionate kind of grounds. And the last one is education. If you are going to receive education and you can't do it from home,
And that's it.
that's it, man. But there's still some ambiguity in amongst some of that stuff. There are there's always people coming up with interesting questions where you think, oh, well, is this a loophole? Anyway, there's a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Well,
How long
not,
have you been
there's
on the lockdown over there in Australia?
Oh, dude. Well, it's just in Melbourne. The rest of the country is doing pretty good. But we've been here for not. I think it started midnight Thursday, so early Friday morning.
Okay, so you went back down on lockdown then.
Yeah, we went back in, man, and like 2 days after I'd just been, we had these restrictions lifted, man. It was great. And the weekend prior to that, I went down to Torquay, which is on the west coast of Victoria, on the surf coast.
Yeah.
Beautiful part of the world where I'm spending more time these days. And I just had a magnificent weekend with my wife, and came back on. I was just on such a high, and then they just slam us with that, man. Anyway,
I think we're
we are,
headed back there, man. I think we're headed back there. They haven't quite done it. Some states are in lockdown, some aren't. Florida is definitely getting beat up right now with our governor leaving us open, basically, backing up Trump to reopen the schools too. I mean, Florida just did 15,300 positive cases in one day.
yeah.
Yeah, we broke the record for all states ever of all time.
Oh, look, man. I'll tell you one of the things that saddens me about this situation, apart from the fact that businesses have been, closing down. It's caused a lot of grief, a lot of people, a lot of hardship, a lot of stress, a lot of inconvenience. Is watching how the whole COVID thing, and depending on your point of view on what you believe to be true, is tearing up people like nothing else. It's become like the new religion, and and I wanted to stop that.
Somebody's like,
And
Tony's on Skype. I'm calling him.
that's okay, man. I can't. Hey, I'm doing a podcast,
Yeah, so
so
the
hey. So
divisions
I'm
happening
just
there.
watching people, friends just tearing strips off each other, and man, it saddens me to see that because for one thing, no one really fucking knows what the truth is, the entire truth is. There may be certain amounts of truth in some respects and others, but regardless of that, it's just the idea that people I've seen friends for years and unfriending each other, blocking each other, getting really then it sort of denigrates to personal attacks. I hate that shit, man. It saddens me.
Yeah,
It
you
really
see,
saddens
it's happening in families, man. I mean, this is like Civil War type era over here. It's splitting families. Best friends are upset at each other, brothers, sisters. I mean, so even in Australia, you guys have that massive divide too.
Totally, man. We're all humans. We are a incredible species, man. We 200 look back in 200 years and all the technological advances that we made in so many areas of life, and yet as a species, as a society, we haven't kept up.
Yeah,
You know,
I would agree.
we,
All the technology, I think, got us arrogant and forgetting what we really are sometimes, man. And it's bad, man. I mean, it's been more than politicized. People say the masks have been politicized. It's more than that now. I mean, it's beyond politics. It's in the street. It's at the stores. I mean, you're seeing people's heavy, violent reactions, for being shamed for not wearing one. I mean, the divide it's scary as hell, man.
yeah, I think so. It's interesting because people can feel helpless when they look at what's going on. And one of my mentees, young mentee of mine, said, "Oh, so what do I do?" I said, "All you can do, man, is you can't exchange the external world. You can only change your internal world. So, don't participate in all the arguments. Don't even look at it, because even by looking at it as an observer, you're still subconsciously, unconsciously taking on negative energy. Just get on with what you can do. What can you do? Pick up the phone and call someone who may be struggling, because a lot of people right now, mental health wise, are really doing it super duper tough. We've got more people dying of suicide, at least here, than they are dying of the virus.
Here too.
Yeah. So how about you maybe pick up the phone, call someone who you feel could use some positive input. Go out there, do something good for the world. Work on yourself. I've been using this time for me, that 6 weeks that we have in the situation. I'm going, you know what? I'm just going to spend some time just writing a bit more of my book. There's a few podcasts that I need to see, that I want to catch up on, and feed my mind with as much good juju as I can. Call my friends, just try and be productive in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's all I've been trying to do. We loosened up over here rather quickly in Florida, and let me tell you, even when we were on quotes quarantine, we left the city and moved out to the beach house, got rid of everything, and just came out to our little small joint out here on the beach. But after Memorial Day happened, or I would say on Memorial Day, man, these beaches have been packed every single weekend since. Period. Just it's not packed, and this isn't a big city either. It's a small little beach town, so most of these people are coming in here. They're traveling in here, which scares a lot of the local people that are coming in. They've had 4 or 5 restaurants have to shut down, but they're shutting down, just cleaning and then reopening, right? And reopening up because unfortunately those businesses need all the money they can get too. So
Sure.
they're caught in this idea of we got to survive and stay in business, right? But then you're risking other people, and some people would shame them for doing that, but they got to feed their kids, right? It's a whole line of what the fuck.
You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, brother. That's what seems to be going on over here as well. But anyway, dude, why don't we pick up the pace and pick up the frequency a little, as much as what's happening as much as what's happening in the world is happening, it's real, and we can't have our heads in the sand. But it was cool to sort of get a little insight from you on it and what's happening. But if it's okay with you, why don't you say we close that little chapter and we move on to something a bit more positive?
Thank God. I was expecting Tony to come on the show and it's like, "What's up, man? How you doing, brother?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I guess you got to get out of the way, right? You got to say it. You got to get that shit out of the way."
That's all. Just that's it, man. It's like eating my Brussels sprouts. Okay, let's get to the chocolate mousse. Let's go. Let's go. So how are you, buddy? Have a look at you, you handsome fuck. How
Oh,
you going?
hardly. Hiding behind a hat right now. I'm growing my hair out, so I'm trying to get to that long, like, think I'm a model thing, when I'm really just trying to cover up my face. So I'm in that ugly stage of like the grow out process where you don't know what you're doing with it, and you just kind of look half homeless.
Yeah, I've been rocking a do like this for 10 years now, and I just said, look, I got a lot of the grays. I'm 57. I'm proud of that. I love every single hair in my head. But when I tried to grow it out years ago, it just looked so vile. I couldn't even look at myself. I said, "Fuck this." So now, man, this is what I'm rocking. Every 3 or 4 weeks, I go to my barber down the road. Go see my man Colin. Colin from Pakistan. He's a ripper, and he gets out the old zero on the back, 2 on the front, a little fade. 12 American dollars, and you're done. You're done. You're in, you're out. every morning, man, it's beautiful. No conditioner, no product, no shit. Just a light shampoo, man, a rinse, one wipe of the towel, and I have a
And I
perfect
just
day.
don't wash my hair for weeks at a time now because I wanted to have that oily look so it looks good and stuff. Otherwise, I got that soft half fro thing. So now I just smell all the time.
Dude, just make sure you cover that shit with juniper berries. And I don't know what did Eddie Murphy use in coming to America? They'd say, well, how you make your hair so shiny, kid? And he uses, yeah, find out what berries he's using, man, because I wouldn't want to be anywhere with it. If you don't shampoo your hair, Adam, I'll tell you what, we'll be talking by fucking signs and sign language and shit. Because
Once a
I don't
week,
want
man.
to
Once
be
a week in case I want to dreadlock it up. You know what I mean? I'll be ready.
actually,
That's cultural
what,
appropriation. I can't do that.
was it really?
Yeah, well, yeah. You can't do that anymore here. So no more white guy dreadlocks.
Okay.
Yeah, the world we're in, man.
Okay.
I,
Well,
I
yeah.
tried
Hey,
to keep it positive for a minute there, didn't we?
God bless America. What can I say? Um,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
nursing this
Well,
damn injury, man. Like I told you, I don't know if I told you, I tore my labrum in my left shoulder, man.
how?
Surfing, not
Oh,
cool.
are you being like from? Well, being from Florida, I imagine it's in your blood. So, is that something you've done as a kid, or is this a recent?
I would
A,
say more avid. I was much more avid to probably 2015, or yeah, about 2015, 16. I was a lot more avid and doing it. I was traveling around writing and stuff, so I go to the beach and do it. I'm no professional, man. I got, I did a few times younger, but it wasn't my thing, coming up at all. And so it was just a longboard, just some longboard riding, man. And went out there like an idiot. It was too rough for me that day, especially with a longboard for me. You can ride anything with a longboard, but man, went out there in choppy, rough seas. I live in New Smyrna Beach, which is the shark bite capital of the world, by the
mm,
way. So went out there and caught a wave or two. And anyway, one of them, I came off the board a little early. I just kind of like, whatever, let the wave go. Went to turn around. The wave was already behind me. Probably about 6 footers were coming in and hit me once and kind of rolled me. And I grabbed the board real quick to get back on it to try to paddle over the top. But I was kind of late. So I went to push the board over the wave. And what I
mm,
could have done was push the board over and duck under the wave. But no, I pushed the board up. My hand goes up in the air and I try to hold the board as the wave
ah,
took it back. And man, I drew a giant circle backwards with my left shoulder. It popped out of place, and my shoulder was like leaning down forward. And I looked down like, oh boy. I roll it back into place. I had some movement. So I got back on the board, paddled, caught a wave in, and that thing popped out of place again right when I paddled. So I'm riding the wave in with my left arm dangling at my side like, well, you're you're done, man. And went to the ER, went to see an orthopedic guy who's a good friend of mine, man. And thank God he said no surgery needed. So I'm like, okay, good. He's like, 3 months is the magic number. Don't do anything. Don't wear a sling because you get frozen shoulder. So move it, but just be cognizant of it. Make it 3 months, and then you got 3 months of rehab.
yeah, wow, it's crazy. I don't think I think I've broken my nose in my life 13 times, Adam. But I think the most painful injury I've ever sustained was a dislocated shoulder, without question.
Yeah.
And I think that and cracked ribs. I think for me,
Oh,
I've been fortunate that I haven't broken any other bones in my body, but cracked ribs, but dislocated shoulder for me, for memory. I don't want to go back there, buddy. That's that shit's horrific.
yeah, it's bad. And what the ortho was telling me is like the shoulder is considered a joint, but it's not. Right. So the
Yeah,
hip is an actual joint, right? That has like the ball in the hip thing. It's
in the
really just,
socket.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
not a socket in the shoulder. It's just pressed up against it and has that labrum as the O ring and the other thing holding it on. So it easily
Mm.
comes out. And I guess that labrum is the O ring. And that's kind of what I tore. And he's like, it's probably going to come out of place once or twice again. I'm like, no, all my life, football, fighting, everything. I haven't torn an ACL, no knee problems, no shoulder injury, no back issue. I've been fine my whole life. And go out there at 39 years old and get on the surfboard and tear my labrum, man.
Well, I'm glad that it wasn't. I'm glad that it was nothing worse, like maybe getting drowned or something like
Or
that.
bitten, right? Or bitten.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
That
Yeah,
happens
that's
frequently out here, man. Some lady was on a surfboard yesterday with her GoPro, and she happened to catch two black tip sharks, one to the
yeah.
right, one to the left of her. She's surfing the wave in, man. You just see the shadows swim by. I mean, you easily see them, but you're like, what the? It's serious out here, man.
Yeah, man. Well, we don't do too badly in the shark stokes either.
Yeah, your sharks kill you. These sharks here don't kill anybody. It's the shark bite capital because a bunch of teenagers. You guys got the ones that make people's arms come off.
Those friggin' white pointers, man. I'll tell you what, which are just killing machines, and especially around South Australia. And if you look at South Australia, it's actually called the South Australian bite because that's what it looks like.
No kidding.
Those sharks are in there just fucking going for it, man. Yeah, that's how it goes. But you know, let me tell you something about surfing, man. I'm not a surfer by any means. I've body surf maybe, but when I did try it, I've got to tell you, I had a real newfound appreciation for what athlete surfers are, just how strong and coordinated and balanced and cardio-wise, man. I mean, those motherfuckers, they're real deal when it comes to being athletes. And you think about all the aspects it required to be a good surfer, let alone a pro type surfer. Man, they're fit as fuck, those dudes, man.
Yeah, they're serious, man. Kelly Slater, one of the best of all time, is from the east coast of Florida there at Cocoa Beach. So that's about an hour from me, 30 minutes from Orlando. But yeah, man, I mean, those shortboard surfers or those big wave riders, man, that do that, they're out of their freaking minds, man. What you got to do to be able to ride that and balance that, that's ridiculous, man. I'm a 8'4" rider and novice at that.
What about those motherfuckers that go out that get a jet ski and they get towed out to those fucking, those fucking Empire State Building size waves? What the fuck is up with that?
You're out of your fucking mind.
When they spill and they got to do like a Harry Houdini. They got to learn to hold their breath for 3 weeks underwater.
It's insane, man. They get cut up by the reef and they get tumbled by the waves. This jet ski's got to come back in and get them. You know what I mean? I think about the guy that ever did that first. You know what I mean? Like the first guy that was like, hey, that's larger than any building on the island. We should get a piece of wood that's cut flat and ride that gigantic thing somewhere. The hell was he thinking? Much less the second guy that watched that guy almost die and he's like, oh, I'm going to do that too. You're out of your mind, man. You're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah, man. Actually, speaking of out of your mind, I was at a friend's place and he had an old school photo of these construction workers in New York that were just sitting on the edge of a steel beam,
eating lunch.
just having a fish taco, just hanging out.
I got issues with heights as it is. I just look at that photo and I'm like, what the. Those dudes are just hanging, eating a bologna sandwich all next to each other, man, just like hanging out. That's ridiculous. They used a lot of Native Americans to build the high-rises then because of their balance capability. When they were building those high-rises back then, they would hire natives like crazy because they could walk those beams on a certain balance level. It's pretty cool.
Wow. That's
fascinating. And pay them $0.25 a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, tell me, what's been happening? What's been happening with you, and where you're heading at the moment?
Well, what's crazy, man, is I had the comedy club going for a little while, and we opened that in November. And comedy club, we were killing it, man. Mellow Monkey Comedy Club. We were downtown Sanford. Killing it, man. Going into January, February, I wanted to make some changes. So the two partners I was with, I found a way to exit from them for reasons I'll leave off here. But then we're re-signing the new lease March 26th. Re-signing the new lease at the new place, ready to go. And I'm just like, pause. Let me just hit pause on that for a minute, man. Held off on it, and the landlord was cool, man. He held off as long as he could, man. He held off until just about 2-3 weeks ago, where he's like, Adam, I can't hold it any longer. And he's like, I went COVID-proof business. I pulled in an insurance company, so he's got an insurance company written. So I lost that very location. So for me, it's been hunting locations and still looking. We're definitely going to reopen, but I think I've just washed 2020 down the drain. I'm just forget about it. And let it go. So the comedy club was taken up all the time. That's what I was focused on. Had a new show that we started doing, LMAO podcast, just cutting up with comedians and stuff. But man, all that put on hold. I got a marketing company too, and a lot of those clients slowed down from marketing. We've kept on Marriott, a couple others, but really just messing with that. I'm building people podcasts, show them how to do that stuff. Just kind of fitting in, and now creativity is finally sort of coming back to me. I've been kind of out of it, so I've kind of picked up the Rampage again, and we dropped probably 10 episodes in like 2 weeks. And brought this back up. Patricia and I have been doing the He Said, She Said podcast. We broke that one out on its own now. Dude, we're that close, man, to getting rid of everything and buying an RV and putting everything in there with a podcast, hitting the road and visiting comedy clubs and nature parks across, just disappearing for a while and just living on the road, and staying out in nature, sleeping under the stars, and taking the podcast on the road, dude.
That's living the dream.
Think
That's
so?
living the dream. Yeah, man. Totally. I was telling this to my wife the other day, and I said, "Oh man, look, I'm at a point now where I want to spend more of my time down by the beach and base myself down there." But I said to my wife the other day, I said, I could honestly entertain the thought of hiring a kick-ass RV, one with all the bells and whistles, because I'm a bit of a fucking prima donna that way.
We call that glamping. Man. We call that glamping.
Yeah, man. I sleeping on a tent on the fucking on a lumpy rocky floor. I enjoy doing that shit. So I need a little comfort. I need a little convenience. Anyway, getting an RV and just going to coastal towns and doing exactly what you're talking about. And I think that would have been amazing. But unfortunately, with my wife's business interest here and there's grandchildren in the mix, it'd be a little bit difficult for us to take an extended period away from what's going on. But let me take. And I think you're about to rudely speak while I was interrupting. Sorry.
No, I was saying I wonder if it's one of those things, right? That like it sounds really good, you know what I mean, and then you start doing it, and then you're like, okay, this sounded really romantic, but here we are, locked in this box together with wheels on it and the two dogs, right? And maybe it's one of those things that sounds good, right? Until you're out there and you're 4 states in, right? And you're like, okay, you got to really like the person you're with, which is good. So I really love Patricia, and she loves me. So, but you worry if that would end. You go out there and you're like, all right, maybe this sounded good, talking about it when we were having a smoke or a drink, and this was a great idea. but here we are. But honestly, it doesn't feel like it'd be any different, right? Because if you're on lockdown anyway, you're stuck in the house. I mean, so many relationships are getting hit because of that too. But I don't know, man. Maybe we'll do it one day. She's got a business interest vested in where we're at too, so it'd be a lot for her to stop that and head out. I fortunately can work remotely most of the time, and but you never know, man. You never know.
Let me tell you, Adam, I'm in terms of years, I'm 18 years blocks ahead of you right now, just on the age factor. You got plenty of time to get that shit happening. And you will. Trust me, you will.
Yeah, we might, man.
But, go on.
No, that's it, brother. No. You were saying that.
What I wanted to share with you is, for me personally, I think 2020 has been an amazing year. In spite of the lockdowns and whatnot. And what was particularly amazing about it, Adam, was that I'm going to share something with you and our sole listener right now, or viewer, about this year. I had an experience with, now you've obviously heard of the psychedelic 5-MeO DMT from the Sonora Desert Toad, the Bufal virus. So January 15 this year, I had 3 days of just getting completely schooled by this medicine, and it absolutely just rocked my world, Adam. It absolutely just gave me this complete rinse that was way overdue. And what it did primarily is that it put to rest all the vestiges of the relationship with my dad has always been the thing that's been the monkey on my back for most of my life. That was what I blamed the world for, and blamed him for this and that, and where I justified my victim, my victimhood around it. But in short, man, what it did is it gave me final peace with myself, peace with my dad, where I got to forgive myself and show myself self-compassion and completely have such a different relationship with myself. And where the things, for example, this year, I can't remember the last time I beat myself up over something. Whenever any kind of negative talk has come up, I catch it real quick and recognize it for what it is, which is just a thought. And go, what's all that about? Where's this coming from? It's just bullshit. It's really been quite extraordinary. And as a result, with that improved relationship with myself, it has remarkably improved. And I was already having good relationships with people and work and clients and Connie, but it's taken it to a whole new level, where I'm more of a feeler than a thinker, live more with my heart than with my head, and really, and all the stuff that I intellectually understood around self-love, self-worth, compassion, forgiveness has gone out of the intellectual into field knowledge. It's like I know it now. It's so different to live in that space rather than just the knowledge. The knowledge now has become wisdom, if you will. And so as a result, what that's allowed me to do this year is be able to navigate things like what's happening in the world in a very different fashion, whereas last year I probably would have been more susceptible to the anxiety, staying in that space, looking at it through a negative lens, whereas now I think of it. I don't sit there popping a champagne bottle and going, well, bring it on, bitches, more of this. But just I'm able to see it for what it is, to not buy into the bullshit, especially, which usually is our own. And be able to go, right, well, how can I take advantages? How can I take a challenge and turn it into an opportunity? Right. And so it's allowed me to, relax more, take inventory of a more detailed inventory of my life, and particularly about who are the people I'm hanging out with. Who are my friends? Why are they my friends? What am I bringing to the table here? Well, with work, where am I going with the studio and mentoring, and what do I really want to do? Really, really being able to connect to my truth. And so I'm finding myself at the moment this year, really enjoying my mastering, but really wanting to focus more on the mentoring side of things and talking to kids and sharing my story and really getting, hopefully capturing their hearts and minds, and sharing all the lessons I've learned and putting it to them so that they hopefully won't make the same mistakes and be able to make, they're like the pebbles in the pond, man. These kids are like the first waves are going into the pond. So if we can get in now, they're going to be hopefully more productive as they move on into the rest of their lives. So yeah, man, I've been very grateful for that experience and what it's done for me.
What was it like? You said 3 days. Where were you? Like, what was set and setting? What was the setup for it? That kind of thing.
Okay, so because it's a Schedule 1 drug and illegal, so I won't give too much intimate detail. Sure. But basically, it's just out on a mountain. About a reasonable drive from where I'm in Melbourne, by a friend of mine who's a shaman who had spent a lot of time in America dealing. He conducted about 5,000 ceremonies and learnt the ways from the actual Sonoran desert people. This is right in the middle of cartel country, Mexico, man, right? And where this frog lives 10 months a year, it lives underground. And then they have a 2-month window to basically harvest the venom from the toad. Anyway, so my friend had been there. I had no idea. He just texted me one day out of the blue and said, hey, man, I'm back in the country. I had no idea that he'd even left. And I've been away for this time, and I've been working with this medicine, and if you're interested, let me know. And I thought, wow, I'm down, because I'd read a lot about it, seen a lot of stuff about it, and I already had my experience with DMT, many years ago, which was a profound, pivotal moment in my life as well. So I called him and said, man, what's the deal? I'm ready for this, and so I went up there and spent a couple of days first, just hanging out with him and chilling out, and yeah, man. So So on the 15th of January, I had my first dose, and on that day, I had 3 hits of it, and then the next day I had another 3 hits. But it was extraordinary, man. I'm very careful not to get too. It's easy to become evangelical about this shit
Yes,
because
it
of what it
is.
can do for you. And so this is the first time I'm ever speaking about this publicly on social media.
Yeah.
Um, um, I'm not the poster boy for psychedelics, and I'm not an advocate or a psychonaut or fucking any other label you want to put on it, man. But I think for some people it can be that missing link that can help you bridge the gap, towards really finding closure and healing within yourself. It's beautiful, man. Yeah. So we were just up in the mountain. It was summertime here. We're by a lake, and it was the scariest and most beautiful thing all at the same time. It was
Yeah, that's
wonderful,
the
man.
hardest people when you're trying to explain to people how it's the most terrifying, beautiful moment of your life, and people are like, "What?" They have no idea, what that venture really is, man. It's a scary as hell place at the same time when you get through that end of it. Um, I don't know. It is like magic, man. It's wild.
Yeah, no, 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 absolutely. And it was just wonderful to have my friend there facilitating because I think if you're going to approach anything, these kind of medicines, yeah, some people can sit there and have them recreationally, and that's all good and good luck to you. But there's something to be said about coming to it with respect and reverence, and to do it in the proper way with somebody who's trained to understand, to look over you, to make sure that you're okay, and knows what to do if things start going a little bit off the rails. So I certainly, if anyone, they often say that you don't find DMT, it finds you.
I
But
was gonna say that exact same thing, man. And it seems like
yeah,
did. You got the phone call. It hunted
well,
you
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah, man. Got that text from my man, and yeah. So I've been back to it since the second time since January, and that was extraordinary too, because there's two aspects to this, right? For people that come to it, as my friend explained, he said first there's the healing journey and the healing aspect of the medicine, and once you've come to that and you've had time to allow that to integrate within yourself, um, then the next time around is more about self-discovery. It's about the layers peeling off you, just more of your bullshit kind of washing away, and about purpose and all this kind of stuff, and that's where all this mentoring stuff became real strong for me, man, really fucking strong. So it was like, because when you hit this stuff and you have a big enough hit, your ego, it's like, your ego gets a pass for 15 minutes. Yeah. And so you're connecting to your higher self. So that it's not your rational thoughts, if you will, getting in the way. So it's really lovely to be able to connect to that place, because what you're getting is what you need, what you need, not what you think you need or what you hope you need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do you
So
think that is, man? Like that. What do you think that it's tapping us into? You know what I mean? Like, is it another world? Is it like what do you think that? I mean, I guess I call it the other side. Like, what do you think that is, man?
I think for me, if you ask me, I think it gives you just a direct line to the higher aspects of you, to your higher self, to your soul.
Mm.
Um, whether it goes to other dimensions, maybe so. It's not the kind of thing like having regular DMT where you see the shapes and colors and geometric patterns and shapes, and all the fractals and shit like that. This is a complete feel based thing. This is not, you're not going to smoke this stuff and you're going to look like you're on a sponge, fucking SpongeBob SquarePants set.
Right, right.
It's not like that. It's some people can have a little bit of the visual stuff, but it's all what you're feeling, man. It's all about what you're feeling. So
Yeah, I've often
yeah.
found when I first enter there that I get greeted almost rudely, but it's like it calls me all of the names that I've been. Like you piece of shit, motherfucker, and I see it's crazy. I would see all of the people that I was even slightly mean to, in the action that I did, and shit I didn't even remember doing until it got shown to me. Like, hey, remember this? Remember this? Remember this? And at the end of, like, it seems like 2 hours, but like a couple minutes of basically showing me, look how much of an asshole you are. It kind of, but it does it kind of like a fatherly way, you know what I mean, or a motherly way.
Yeah.
And then after it kind of holds you and goes, but I love you anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's telling you I love you anyway, despite you all of these things that I've proven that you're a fucking prick. I still love you anyway, you know. And it has this, it has this motherly, fatherly thing.
Very much so. It just it sums you up in a very gentle way, in the same way that you or I would speak to a child and understand that, okay, you spilled some shit, but we're not going to pay out on you, and we're not going to call you all these names and throw you in prison because you're two and you're going to spill shit on you. It's the same level of compassion that you receive and that you feel. Speaks to that child, you see, so and soothes that. Just let you know it's okay, and you don't have to worry about this shit anymore. You can go in the sand pit, play over there, and Big Jack, Big Tony will take care of it from here.
Yeah.
You've done thanks for your services. We appreciate it. here's your gold watch. Here's your retirement. Just go to the sand pit and have fun, kid.
Yeah. I always say the other place because the very first time I remember doing it, I remember specifically crossing through or whatever it was, and it looked like the things that were there already were busy. They were, and I interrupted them. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of showed up. I mean, it was heavy visual on my end, and I came up, and they were kind of like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" You know what I mean? Kind of a response like, "Oh, welcome." How you, like, they didn't even expect me, like, and for me, that's what I was kind of like, wait, man, is this happening all the time? And I just kind of opened a little door here and get to peek in for a second, when it walks you through that side. It's fucking wild, man. And, I allegedly, possibly, maybe, or kiddingly, may have worked with a couple ex-military people, allegedly, when I was a therapist on the side, with psilocybin. And man, some amazing things in just a few short sessions. We spent 3 months talking before we ever got there, and I didn't claim to be the shaman guy who's treating it. It wasn't like that. I just set in setting, safety spot, that kind of thing. I took the best I could, and I let the psilocybin do the psilocybin, right? Not me kind of going, do this, now do this, and do that. I didn't do any of that. I was like, here's this, let's work you up. Here's 1 gram, here's 2 grams, here's 3. Let's work up to that 5-gram stage, and kind of go through it. And I just was there with them, with the things you can do to make it as safe and a good setting as possible. But some of the results, man, I watched people come through addiction rehabs multiple times, and watch what 2 or 3 sessions of psilocybin did for these Marines. One specific guy, in 1 or 2 times. And the guy never picked up a drink again, still hasn't drank today, and it's 5 years later. Got his wife back, built his contracting company back up. I mean, this guy had been to rehab 3 times already. Ex-military sniper, so you can imagine the post-traumatic stress. And he lost everything, man. And, he was at wit's end, like that. I'm anything. Anything. And we went there, and it's amazing, man. And the fact that stuff is still outlawed, but you can get as much Xanax and Adderall and Oxycontins as you deem necessary for your pain, if you'll find the right doctors, right? That'll do it. You can get as much as that as you want to. Heck, you can find a $20 bag of heroin, fentanyl, easy on the street, right? But something like this that has typically no bad side effects. Now, it can, I think, if people are already on the edge of reality, if you're, have a genetic base for schizophrenia or something like that, I would certainly stay away from it. But for the most part, compared to what those drugs do to people, and the fact that that's not legal, it's ridiculous, man.
Well, man, I'm just going to put my tin hat on just for a moment. Yep, that's it. Well, think about this from the point of view of big pharma. As you know yourself, man. I'm not an anti-pharma guy, not by any stretch. Pharma has helped me out so many times in life, and bless them for their advances in what they're able to do. Where I get unhinged is that the pharmaceutical industry as a whole is not about curing as much as it's about management of a certain situation. How can we keep you managed until something else will go wrong with you, and then we got something else to keep you going for that and for that, because it's about milking money out of people. I mean, how is that profitable for the shareholders when you're saying, hey, 2 doses of this stuff and you're on your way?
Yeah.
The Jewish pianos will no longer be playing Havana Gila, give me all your money after that. You know what I mean?
They lose
so
it.
That, so they're going to need to find other shit. Now, is it an actual conspiracy? I don't know if it's entirely conspiracy, but I think that's part of the reason. Plus the fact that I don't know whether they can patent nature that way. It's from the earth, man. It's doing something. They can't control it. They can't do anything with it. They can maybe synthesize it, but even so, even if they did synthesize it and it has the same effect of making people a lot better and curing them of their ailments, then what can they sell them? Unless they sell it at $250,000 a pop, you know.
Yeah.
And even then, maybe it's not worth it, because if you think about how much money pharma extracts from the average Joe, it would have to be in the hundreds of thousands. And then you got the insurance involved as well, and they got their claws out taking money. Look, there's nothing here you don't know. You know, you've been balls deep in it, Adam, and you've spoken out against it. But it's unfortunate, and that's why people, I think, got to do their own research and their own homework and rely on themselves to go out there and look at these things and help themselves, because big pharma's not out there to look after you. It's there to keep you on a hamster wheel, man.
Well, while you got your tinfoil hat on, Disney owns Pfizer.
I'm not surprised, man. I think we're at a point now where...
And Disney just reopened yesterday or Saturday.
Wow. Okay. This is Disney World in Orlando, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
15,300 new cases, and Disney opens the doors on Saturday.
Oh, man, we need to sell more vaccines, buddy. More vaccines.
Something, man. So what have you been doing? So since these 2 healing sessions with your buddy, what has it turned you to do?
Well, it's for one, slow down. Just slow down. Slow down. Smell the coffee. Take stock. And initially, just take time to allow that stuff to integrate, because what happens is you go through this experience, and then the universe is going to throw things at you that's going to test you, when you really know that whatever it is that you experience is working. For example, if previously I got pissed off at someone cut me off in the traffic, someone's going to cut me off in the traffic, and then you go, oh shit, I just let that dude in and smile on my face and 0 fucks. Wow, that's really different. Or the idea of, time passes by and you go, shit, I haven't beat myself up for ages, or this is a situation that normally would make me go down this rabbit hole, and now all of a sudden I'm not even going down there at all, even if I try to trigger myself.
Interesting.
Even not as a way of trying to sabotage, but it's like, wow, if this really works, and I should be able to withstand even a deliberate focusing and digging in on all this shit that would ignite me really quick.
Yeah.
And it's like it does nothing. It's just this sense of detachment, not denial, not burying it away, not even having a bad attitude towards it. It's just more like being able to watch it like a movie, seeing it for what it is, understanding it, and having the same compassion around it when it was explained to you while you're in there, like, oh, so just going through an integration period, taking stock of life. And most people, Adam, will spend more time fucking thinking about what their next data plan is going to be, or where they're going to take a holiday, or refinancing. They look at yearly, maybe refinancing their mortgages. They look at all these things and study these things. But how many people actually sit down and take a stock of life? Stock of where am I at? Where am I going? Who am I with? Who are my friends? What matters to me? What am I going to put my focus and energy and attention on? No, we don't. Oh, damn. Just,
Well,
oh,
I think that's you're picking up on one of the I hate to say one of the positive parts about the thing about COVID, right? Is it made people have to stay at home, and take stock, of their life, what they're doing, what they love, and when people take stock now, there are some repercussions for that. Sometimes it may appear negative, like getting divorced, right, or leaving your job. A lot of people that got fired and laid off. I know two guys individually that made careers. These were top CEO guys, in what they were doing. And got furloughed / laid off. And in that time, they realized how much of their life they had lost doing this CEO, doing this business that wasn't really their passion, what they loved to do. And they both resigned from it. I'm helping a guy build a podcast now that had climbed that ladder, buddy. He was in that room at the big table with a few people. And and he's totally turned from that, and taken something totally different. So, this has made us have to stay home and go, okay, what's important, right? And is this the person I really want to be with, right? Is this happy now? Rather than, you get caught in that schedule, right? Go to work, come home, go to work, come home, go to work, come home. You see your what was I said it on my other podcast. I'm like, you're married to your career and dating your wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you're forced to come home and be married. You're forced to come home and be the dad or the mom, right? And on both sides. And in doing so, it's that taking stock can be it's a scary thing, man, for people, Tony.
Oh, look, totally. I think an even scarier thing for people is that they've also been forced to spend time themselves.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And in the context of people who are going through mental health and substance abuse issues, alcoholism, what have you, quite often, again, in my experience as a former cocaine addict and abuser, that was my vehicle to get away from myself because I couldn't stand myself, or I was trying to punish myself, or I was, it was anything but about getting high. Initially it was, but that was a very short-lived period, and a bit over a period of time, because I couldn't be with myself. I couldn't be with my own thoughts. I couldn't face up to those things and deal with them. So either I'm going to try and block them out or try and escape them somehow. And so now we've got people who are spending more time on their own, and they're having to be with themselves. And you've got to be able to get comfortable with who you are, for your good, for your bad, for your indifferent, and befriend yourself and be cool within your own skin. And that's what I've been.
I like what you said there. Befriend yourself.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's important. One of the things I got from this journey is that I learned that I'm my own. Why was I looking for my dad's validation? In fact, I'm my own father. You got to learn to be your own dad, your own mum, your own best friend and confidant and lover, if you will. It's that, when people talk about loving yourself, it's, to me, it's not about being arrogant, loving yourself in a Kanye West kind of vibe, but we're talking about acceptance of, like, this is who I am. I am the full spectrum of everything. I can be angelic and I can be demonic and everything else in between. And there's no flaws as such, as rather there's just the perception of what I think are flaws, because what I think maybe are my flaws are the things that people are attracted to and think are either charming or endearing or attractive in some kind of way. So just to be cool with you, man, and understand you're the full spectrum. You're a package. I am the I am. That's fucking everything, man. So yeah, just be able to do that. And a lot of people struggle with that. I did for the vast majority of my life. So I know that journey well. I don't think there's anyone out there that doesn't have some degree of difficulty with it. But right now, people, because now they're forced to be there, it's now going to bring up a lot more shit and so forth, a lot more tension, a lot more anxiety, a lot more of their story. And so it's the opportunity now where people can either, have the gumption to step up to it and not slay the dragon as much as just befriend it. Just be able to know, okay, it's like you got to be, it's like being in an apartment building and the boogeyman, if you will, he's never going to get evicted. He's got squatters' rights. He's going to be there forever. So it's like, understand that he's going to live on some floor, and every now and again you might see him in the elevator, you might see him, you may even see him at a party at 12:07, but that's cool. no one says you have to be his best friend either, but you just understand, hey, what's up? He's there. He's going to be part of your world. He's going to come in and out every now and again. And there's no need to resist him. Just befriend him. You don't have to have poker night once a week or anything like that. Just we'll call him round to watch the fights. But you just be cool with him. Just, hey, yeah, what's up? And that's it. And you move on and hang out with the other cool kids.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle, man. I know I do. I did a podcast a long time ago about getting so far into the personal development world, right? Where you're in this constant state of, I got to get better, I got to get better, got to get better, got to improve, got to get better, got to get at this. I'm constantly learning, constantly reading, just absorbing all of this information content. And I did a little editing part of my second book I put out because I realized I was saying that, right? I'm going out, get educated, learn stuff, learn about yourself, but there's a point to where you got to, like you said, slow down. You keep packing that information. You get up every day not grateful for who you are, but only hopeful for somebody you want to be. I mean, you miss it, man. I think that's why when you said slow down as your first message, that really hit me, is about slowing down. You don't have to be this personal development guru 24/7 of yourself, constantly being, as much as it is accepting who you are in the present and the good and bad parts about you.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, it's interesting, the whole I know a lot of people who are into personal development and who they're very dedicated students of it, but it's just all about the just acquiring more and more knowledge. It's like, if I read the next book, if I do the next webinar, and at some point it's just like, fuck, just stop. Just fucking, you are so knowledged up. You have more knowledge and information at your fingertips than most people I know. So how about you start applying this shit? How about you just stop and start applying and making it who you are, rather, because most people, man, they don't complete their courses, read books and shit like that. They say something like 95% of books don't get completely read and courses don't get completely done, and people do a webinar and then they walk away from it and say, I'll get back to it later. It's where self-help becomes shelf-help, yeah? It just sits there. And this is not a criticism of people. I've been there myself. I completely get it, but you're not going to get up into the higher levels of consciousness because you can't buy your way there. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You can't pay your way there, and you just got to, man. You got to put on the sneakers. You got to go for the run. You got to lift the weights. You got to do the work. You got to do the fucking work, man. We are just oversaturated with information, and it's a beautiful time to be alive in terms of having access to this stuff. But there's no amount that you have to consume that takes you to the point where you go, it's where this is binary switch, where you lead up to a point and then boom, you just automatically become this all-knowing, all-wise, kind of fully switched on Tony Robbins kind of character. It doesn't happen like that. It's a gradual process, and so I never was a junkie when it came to books and webinars and stuff like that. I had a keen interest, but again, this year's been the year of really applying what I've learned, and the newfound mindset is now. I spoke to my mentor Peter Sage not that long ago, and I said, man, I feel like this experience this year has been like the mortar between the bricks of information and knowledge that I learned from you, and now it's become solid. Yeah. So
interesting,
yeah,
you had to take a feeling intervention, right, to bring the mortar to hold the knowledge together.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And people will know. Someone said to me, how do you know it's going to be, how do you know it's different? And I said, because it's a feeling. You're just going to feel something different that you've never felt before. And you'll notice things change around you. Like I said, life will keep throwing these opportunities for you to see how well you've learnt your lesson, right? And there's a reason why people say, why is this always happened to me? Because you haven't got the lesson. You haven't learned. You can't expect to go up in the next grade until you've got this shit down. And so it's gonna, so life will start with a little tap on the shoulder, and then it's a little tap on the, a little harder tap, and then a little bit of a shove. Eventually you're gonna get a punch in the fucking face, as I did. because I'm a late bloomer, Adam Larry. I've, I've always learnt the hard way. I think I'm starting to get better at it now. But yeah, for me, it had to wait until life had to, give me a fucking blanket party,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh, what? Oh, shit. Okay, maybe I'll stop doing that.
Some of us shorter, some of us longer than others, and some of us still getting those wake up calls, man, about what life is. And my mom always rings in my ear, man. She goes, "Adam, life isn't fair. There's no perfect life, right? So it's reaching out for some perfect life, thinking it's supposed to be fair, right? But I like your idea of taking the lessons and applying those to our lives, and what we can do differently, how we can see it differently, and reaching for a change within ourselves as opposed to trying to change, everything around you."
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't think it's a case of even life being unfair. I think the universe, call it what you will, is just.
Ah.
There's no emotional connection. Like Madam Universe doesn't sit there and go, "Oh, poor Adam," and mollycoddle you, and neither does it say, "Fucking Adam, there's a conspiracy now to completely fuck you up." Doesn't it's again, we are our own best friend and worst enemy. We get in our own way. So life is only going to give us the reflection back at what we need to know, what we need to see, what we need to learn. There's no emotional, even though the universe is love and it loves us, it gives us tough love sometimes. But there isn't that emotional connect. It is what it is. So that's why I feel people may think it's unfair. I don't think it's about fairness rather than about justice. And I think the universe is just. You take a snapshot of your life and you look at where you're at and in all areas, and it's like, this is what you deserve. This is exactly what you deserve, based on whether it's karma or your actions or inactions or whatever. But everything I have right now is what I've deserved and what I've created. Well, certainly had a big part in co-creating this shit.
Yeah, that's taking that internal locus of control as opposed to the external locus of control. Is you control the destiny.
Yeah, and that comes from the internal world. This is another great thing I've really got to experience and really feel more this year, is the understanding that my external world is a reflection of my inner world. And everyone is out there looking at the external world and blaming the external world and trying to fix stuff out there, which it's tiresome. Rather than go, okay, well, let me change my point of view, let me change my thoughts and my feelings, the way I'm going to respond as opposed to react, and allow. You see, people think, oh, hang on, if it's a reflection, reflections are instant. Why doesn't it work? People would understand that we're living in two worlds, right? There's a Newtonian world, right, and we've got a quantum world, and so. For things to sort of go, people talk about thoughts manifest into material things. It takes a little bit of time. It's a great analogy I'll share with you is if you think of an oil tanker, okay, and you're in an oil tanker, and by the way, thank you, Peter Sage, for this great example. You're in an oil tanker and you say, I'm going to turn. I want to turn right. You turn the wheel to the right, to starboard, and you think it should turn straight away, right? Now in the quantum world, it's instant. Now, but when you've done that, it is done. It's just that there's a bit of a lag period that's going to happen, because this thing's got to slow down to a safe enough speed in order to be able to turn around. Otherwise, it would snap in half. But people think of that reflection, as an instant thing. Well, if I change my thoughts, why doesn't this happen? They don't understand. There's a period of time. I don't know. Scientists, this quantum to Newtonian transition point that they call it, it's probably 6 to 8 weeks on average for things to sort of happen, for you to see that manifestation of your thoughts. But of course, people want things to happen instantly, and because it doesn't work straight away, they go, what? Oh, I'm not turning. Fuck this doesn't work. And they put it back onto even keel again. And they wonder why.
Well, they snatch it all the way left, right? Or they're like, what, forget this. And they go all the way left again. Yeah. Absolutely. And so, but if you think about that reflection model, man, it's like what we're doing is we're like a puppy dog that sees itself in the mirror. It doesn't like what it sees, so it gets angry. And then it notices that the puppy in the mirror gets angry, and we get even angrier, and we escalate. When if we stop and wag our tail, then what's going to happen is it doesn't happen as immediate, but it's a similar kind of vibe, So I think people will take away a lot from the outer world being our external self. Is that movie Inception kind of says it right? With DiCaprio. Remember they go into these worlds that they create.
I haven't seen the movie, but I think
Oh,
I think my would implode if I was to watch that.
dude, watch Inception if you got time to watch a movie. Sit down and watch that one. But so I don't want to give in any alerts. But the idea that our external world does reflect is like we see the world as we see it, so we build our own world based on what we see inside, and then we place things and people and places and where we live and like I said, the people we allow in our life. We begin to set up that chessboard of our own life, and then be able to. I like that, man, and it reflects ourselves, our state of mind, where we're at. Our friends are a good reflection of that off the bat if you're looking really quick, right? But your environment is too, man. I like that notion, man.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So, so yeah, man. So these are the kind of things that I've been pondering over and thinking about, and watching them actually work. You know, work for me, and so that's why this year's been an amazing year for me in very important ways, because it's setting me up. It's set me up better as I move forward. Because man, I've got less years ahead of me than I've had. Right, so that's just reality. And so with whatever time that I'll be afforded, I just want to make sure, man, that I make the rest of my years the best of my years. You know. And so knowing what I need to do, that's what I'm just trying to do on it as consistently as possible. So when when I get to a point where if I do end up on a deathbed scenario, I don't look back with regrets and I would have, I could have, I should have, and I just want to be able to say,
I can tell
well,
you this, Tony. You're one of the first people I reach out to when I'm like, all right, let me get this fire back on the Cognitive Rampage podcast going again. And the first person I reach out to, man, that I had to have back on is yourself. So if my external world of the people I'm trying to put back in my life on a constant reflection of me, well, then I'm happy what I'm looking at, man.
totally back at you. Love you too, bro. It's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
We talk. We used to speak a lot, man, and I think we both just kind of got busy and wrapped up and stuff. I know the comedy club really consumed me for a while, man, and so I apologize for the absence, of letting it go so long of us chatting, man. I mean, we would chat probably once a week. Hell, you were on the podcast 68 times, you know. So, but I do apologize for that, man, and.
I appreciate I appreciate the sentiment, but no apology required. Because here's the thing, in my world, good friends they stay with you, and you may be living parallel lives, but you pick up where you leave off. I think that's always a good sign of a great relationship, regardless of whether it's a social one or a business one, or a family one for that matter. You just pick up where you leave off, and it's respecting everyone else's journey, that they're doing their own thing. There's nothing personal in it. That's the problem. I think a lot of people take things way personally, and they feel like, well, why didn't he ring, or why didn't he call back, or he used to do this, or she used to do that. It's like, well, I think that's the wrong way of looking at it, man, because these are conditional friendships, right? And so I think that here, I think one of the things we're here to learn and be is unconditional love, and unconditional means just that. It doesn't mean being a bitch and having people wipe their boots all over you, but it's understanding that right now, they're busy. I don't necessarily know what, but hey, if you care that much about the situation, hey, you fucking send a flare and you can find out for yourself. Rather than sit and wait and think and have this perception of what it is and making it all about yourself. That's the problem, man, is not to take shit personally. Everyone's a star of their own movie, man. And the reason why you're the star of your own movie is because you're in every fucking scene of it, right? So,
unfortunately, man, I can't even take myself out of my own movie.
no, why would you want it? Why would you want to do that? And you're also the director of that film. And you get to write the script, and you get to work out the storyline and whatnot. And so people sort of think that, they make the mistake of thinking, oh, fucking I'm the co-star of his movie. It's like, no, motherfucker, you're barely an extra, if that. In the same way that that person isn't the co-star of your movie, so don't take it personal. It's just the way it is. So you've got two choices here. Either you care enough about the friendship, then you want to cultivate it further, and you'll make that line of inquiry, and actually find out what the facts are as opposed to what you think the facts are. or just move on. Just move on.
I love talking to you, bro.
Love talking with you too, man. This is
Man.
great.
So outside of the slow down, right? So the slow down. Well, other than that, what else or what changes did you make? Was the maybe the first thing you did when you got back? I don't know. Beyond the slow down portion of the message,
Um,
that we've probably already covered it
yeah,
too. We've
no,
been
no.
talking about a lot.
Well, it was actually, sitting down with Connie and just really reconnecting with her again.
Mm.
Uh, just again, just the refound appreciation for her and getting to express that and just have the time to reconsolidate, that relationship. After sort of getting more in touch with me, then with my wife, with my children, with my colleagues, and seeking connections with the people that I wanted to spend more time with, that I thought about, would I? Well, and rather than and about it, I just went to work.
Mm.
And with the people that I wanted to spend a little less time with, it wasn't a case of ringing up and saying, yo, fuck you,
Yeah.
or even send the lawyers around with the amicable divorce papers. It was, I think a lot of that stuff happened quite organically. So my where I put some effort in was just in the, well, who are the people that I want to spend more time with? Okay, I'm going to pick up the phone, send a text. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? I love to hang out with you for a bit, and what have you. And so things kind of happened quite organically. That didn't require any particular force or heavy-handedness in any way, shape, or form. Because there's no. I mean, I love everyone, man. I want to be cool with everyone, but it was a matter of just realizing, well, who do I want to spend more time with at the moment during this phase of my life. So
you got to
these
make that effort. Go ahead.
Yeah. So these are the things that I was doing. It was, again, it was the implementation of the things I had to do in order to create the friendly universe that I want. As Einstein said, we've only got one choice in life. Do I want to live in a hostile universe or a friendly universe? It's as simple as that. It's love, fear. Boom. Where are we going? All right. I'm on team love, motherfucker. Let's go. And away and they're the kind of things. And even this day, man, still. It's just the ongoing process that I'm on, man. I don't think it'll ever change. I think it'll always be work in progress, always be evolution, always be seeking things and acquiring that information and just and learning, and also, man, just working on being present. Just work on just being more in the moment, more just like I'm. Not that I don't care about tomorrow, but tomorrow is a fallacy. History is an illusion. It's like what's going on right now for me, what I'm in control of right now, and trying to consciously practice the skill of being more in the moment and present. That's it.
I think you nailed it. That is certainly I think people have said that so much that people hear it, right, and it bounces off of them about being present, being in the moment. And people, I think, overlook the fact that it's a skill. You really have to practice that present moment. I mean, what's the other saying? That depression lives in the past, anxiety lives in the future. So if you want to avoid the two, stay present. Right. So if and that's something you got to really practice, being with the person you're with, right? Sitting where you're at, even if it's watching something on TV, watch that and put the phone down, right? Don't live in a comment or a message that came back, right? Watch the movie if that's where you're at. If you're outside, practice speaking out loud, even what you see in the present, right? There's a blue sky, there's a seagull over there. She's wearing a red shirt, right? I mean, that's really, really, you nailed it, man. Something you really have to practice. I continually have to practice that daily, and then sometimes forget, man. I forget.
Yeah, don't we? We all, when we're running, 95% on autopilot during the day. So, yeah, it's easy to slip back into, and that's the skill, is of the awareness to remind yourself, hang on a minute, where am I? Oh, here I am. And get back on track. And I'm no black belt at it, Adam, but I'm working towards it, and maybe I may never become a black belt at it, but that's okay too. I think for me, it's just about, can I just continually strive to do a little better and get a little more present. There's no end point to all of this, So
yeah, we'll never arrive.
No, and to be okay with living in the space of a question. I don't have to work it all out. I don't have to know everything. I'm cool with where I'm at and with what I have and what I know, and knowing that I'm going to die, and my inbox will still have emails in there and shit going on, and they're still. It will, man. It will. And again, that's not my excuse to become apathetic and just say, what's the point? But there's just the understanding that it's not all going to get done. It's never all going to get done. So be cool with that, because, hey, man, if you were to say to me right now, I'm going to give you, to know everything and everything about life and the universe and beyond, and let's just say that you could do that, or that place existed for someone, then what? Then what?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And then what? Now what do you do? If our meager brains could handle it all, but now you got it, right? Then it would almost be easy to, like, what's the point, right? After you kind of discovered it all, what's the point if you know all that, right?
Yeah, it's every moment of your life would be a fucking spoiler alert.
Shit. Yeah. You would already know
Yeah,
what's coming, yeah.
yeah, and it's just like, okay, well, I don't know about you, man. I don't mind watching a rerun of a series, but if you said to me, listen, that's all you got for the rest of your entire existence, I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
After a while.
Yeah,
I'd
I'd
lose
tap
my
out.
shit.
Damn right, man.
I'd go fucking sideways and bonkers, mate. So maybe that's not the point of it. Maybe it's just eternal, and just don't worry about the destination, the cliche as it is. Just enjoy the myriad of ways of getting towards it, and maybe having glimpses of that from time to time, a little tastes of. You know how sometimes you experience that, the oneness, the whole thing where you're connected to everything and everyone, and you become everything and everyone. The beautiful brief moments, but have a taste of it. But you're never going to sort of have it in you're not going to have it in shipping container bulk loads, running hot and cold on tap.
Yeah, man. That's what I found in doing comedy, man. When I started doing stand up, and I drift off. I get lost, right? I mean, there's some material I do, but I host a lot of shows, more than get booked to do them. And in those hosting moments, man, I get lost in the crowd, and trying to be funny, and screwing up a lot of the times, right? But that's that flow state when you're in that middle of trying to be present. Let me tell you, man, stand up really makes you have to be present of what's going on and what you hear and who's around you, and am I bombing, right, which is often with me, right? So you pick that shit up, man, and it is probably the most challenging thing I've ever undertaken, is trying to do comedy. It's the hardest fucking thing, and that sucks because I'm arrogantly good at most shit I fucking try, and I am terrible, man, and it is so fucking hard. But, like, you made me think of it, about trying something new, but being in the present and enjoying what's happening in the moment, right? That experience that's living in you at the moment, man. That's I always love talking to you, man.
Yeah, I did too. Hey, let me tell you, man, stand up. I'm not a student of stand up, but I do enjoy it, and I do love it, and it's been really interesting to watch just how stand up has changed, in the mainstream, and how society has been imposing itself upon what can and what can't be said. I would say that stand up comedy would have to be with public speaking, but stand up particularly, because you got to try and make people laugh, man. And everyone's got a different sense of humor because they've got a different perspective of reality. What they say, it's always funny until it happens to you.
Right,
You know?
right.
Um, but to be able to stand naked in front of people and try and make everyone laugh and connect with an audience, and like you said, be present and have awareness to the audience and what's going on, while still trying to maintain your level of, like, okay, this is what I'm here to do, and I'm going to do my act, and I'm going to make sure that I perform these jokes right, and I hit the punchline right, and I set it up right, and be quick on your feet, because you may have a set that is kind of bombing. You think, okay, well, maybe I need to shift this joke in, but that joke probably wouldn't have worked. I don't know how I'm going to make this work. And thinking on your feet all the time, man, that's a lot of fucking chainsaws to juggle, brother.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. For you talk about comedy changing. Patricia and I watched Bill Burr's "Let It Go" special. That to
Mm-hmm.
me is probably in the top, if not the top three, the top five of stand up specials of all time. And man, dude, he's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite. But man, there's some jokes in there I think it was 2010 that came out. Like if that was out now, oh man, he would be publicly shamed and torn apart. And I'm just like, it's hilarious. And a lot of his style hasn't changed though. He's still hardcore, doesn't give a shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But to watch that change it's scary to a point that you hope it doesn't kill it. You know, you hope it doesn't make it, not what it is. You know.
I'll tell you what, if there's one comic that you would not want to heckle, it's Bill Burr. That's a death wish right there.
Yeah.
That is a fucking death wish because that guy has got the most. He's the wittiest, quickest on his feet thinking, just sharpest tongue motherfucker on the planet. He's amazing. I love Bill Burr. I love him. I adore him. I love his attitude. I love how he just doesn't give a fuck, and he still is managing to navigate the waters despite restrictions and whatnot. He'll at least. And same with Chappelle, man. I mean, yeah, the other day I was watching his when he won the Mark Twain Award and his speech around that, and but what a powerful message, man! What a beautiful, humble man, and what a highly intelligent man. And he had a lot of great messages in there, I believe as well. I mean, I think Chappelle for mine is probably the GOAT. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But also guys like Carlin, Bill Burr in the modern era. Love a Hicks.
Yeah.
I mean, Hicks was a phenomenon.
Yeah, you gave me an idea. I was like, what if we asked, what's your Mount Rushmore? 2 living comics and 2 dead comics. What would be your Mount Rushmore if you're 2 alive and you're 2 dead? Chappelle would definitely be my other one alive. Burr and
Chappelle and Burr for mine. And it's always hard because there's so many, but I'd put in fact I would say George Carlin as passed, rest in peace.
Mine too.
And Richard Pryor, rest in peace.
We have the same Mount Rushmore, man. We have the same Rushmore.
Surprise.
Right.
Surprise.
That means at least there are some top 4s then.
Yeah, man. But again, but no disrespect to any other comics, because we've been blessed with this legacy of just so much beautiful work, and the other thing I love about comedy is that comedians are, they're great storytellers. They bring great lessons, and they make us look at ourselves, man. They really do. They make you have to reflect and look on things, and how often do they say, man, the truth is often spoken in jest.
Tell me about it.
So comics, for the moment, and they're also got this amazing skill of being able. I mean, and what else about comedy, man, is that some of the best comedy out there is based on tragedy.
Yeah. Most
and
definitely.
so these are guys who are able to take tragic situations, moments, people for that matter, and make it funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a magic trick, man. It's necessary in today's world, man. I mean, I've considered comics are modern day philosophers.
Without question.
They're the ones standing on the stone back in Rome, right, with the robe on, telling people, they're the Platos and the Nostradamus. Those are the people up there speaking and saying it in their own way, man, for sure. And I also think the musicians are that and have always been that. They tell the stories. They speak of our time today, of the different genres, of the different time frames that we live in, right? You can zap into the 60s rock and know what was happening, right? You can go to the 70s and go, yeah, that was definitely happening. You can pick a time frame or a decade of music and go, yeah, that's what was happening in the world. Almost like the music is the reflection, because the music's coming internally, and it's showing what the external world is, kind of like comedy.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, absolutely. I don't get out to see a lot of comics here, but we got a lot of, Australia has a lot of, you know, pretty good comics. If you get a chance, I suggest you have a look at a guy called Carl Barron. Hilarious guy. He's not. No, he swears a little bit. He's not a dirty comic per se. You know, he doesn't push the, you know, the blue language, but he's incredibly clever. And again, he just finds the most simple, mundane, day-to-day things he talks about and makes it funny. He just makes the most mundane shit funny. So if you get a chance, check out Carl Barron. You know,
yeah. If you could go back to any decade of music, what decade would you go to?
I'm happy right where I am.
Oh, come on, man. Living in the present, damn it. Come on, man. If any decade.
Okay. I'll bite.
Thank you, sir.
Does it have to be a decade from 0 to the '09, or can it be a 10-year span?
Either one. A 10-year span's good, too, because I mean, you know music way deeper than I do. So, yeah.
Okay. I guess for me, the most formative years of my music was 74 to 84. That were the most formative years, because I was not quite a teenager, and you know, they were my formative years. You know, it was early days of high school, you know, and leading up into becoming a young man. So I think that 10-year span. But if I had to pick between the 70s and no, actually, you know what? No, I think I'd have to say the 80s if I had to pick a decade. But again, you know, I mean, what's music for so much of us, man? It's the soundtrack of our life. It's about nostalgia. It's about memory. It's about, you know, emotional connection to certain things. You know, you hear a song, you remember a person or a time and a place and whatnot. So, and that's why I said 74 to 84. But for other people, the 90s was an extraordinary, for me, it was also an extraordinary decade, because that was when I really started hitting my straps as a mastering engineer and got to work with some phenomenal bands and got to just, you know, really love what was happening musically with rock and with hip hop and whatnot at the time, you know. But I hope I answered your question, man.
Yeah.
74, 80 for the 10-year split in context of my life. But if I had to pick one decade, 0 to 09, yeah, 80s. Man.
80s. What's a story, man, of an artist you work with? I don't know, maybe where you realized, I guess I am pretty good at this, right? Or maybe somebody gave you that call, you wound up working on that one album, or maybe you're still underselling yourself and didn't realize, or something like that.
Yeah, good question, man. Okay, one that comes to mind, there's been a few, but one that comes to mind is when I think back to getting the opportunity to work with a guy called Mark Opitz, who's a producer. Now, for those who don't know Mark Opitz, he's worked with bands that you may have heard of, like AC/DC, In Excess, Kiss.
Shit.
Any band, particularly note in Australia, that had impact on the cultural landscape. He produced the soundtrack of my youth, and I got to meet him, and then I had a fanboy moment, and we just started talking, and he was incredibly. This man, by the way, right now has become, he's my friend. You know, I can pick him up on the phone. We you know, but at the time it was like to be validated by this guy, and this guy who could have worked with any motherfucker he wanted in Australia at the time, but said to me, "Hey man, I've heard good things about you. I've always been about giving people a crack. I'd like you to do this track for me," and it was just like this, you know. But eventually, you know, that eventually subsided, and as you work out, you realize, man, that, you know, character is who you are, and reputation is what people think you are, and you get to meet guys like Mark, and he's this cool, down to earth bloke, just extremely hardworking, extremely dedicated, and it's like, yeah, man, that's part of what makes him great, man. Yeah, he's great with his ears and his vision and his skill set. But he's great with people. He knows how to make people feel significant. You're with him, and he's present with you, and he's always dispensing great pearls of wisdom, etc., etc. So I think working with Mark Opitz certainly is right up there. You know, also getting the call to do a band called The Neighborhood, who sold a couple of million of their single, and their album went gold. I mean, again, this This is from America, where I get the call to do a job for again. The management record label could have gone anywhere they wanted, but somehow I got the call up. I think that did a lot for my confidence and made me realize I think I'm getting the handle of this now. Yeah. I'm getting the gist of it now, Adam Lowry.
I think I can master some music, man. Well, you're certainly mastering life, brother.
Well, thanks, man. As you said, I like the way you say it's mastering. It's ongoing. It's the continuous, man. And I can tell you right now, your friend over here right now is the happiest, most centered, most balanced, most at peace he's ever been at 57, and it's a beautiful place to be.
That makes me happy, brother. I love chatting with you, man. I love talking. Thanks for hanging out with me early in the morning over there until almost early afternoon, man.
Always, man. I got you your mobile, so I'll also make an effort to hit you up a little bit more regular on the text. But we'll definitely talk soon. I love you, buddy.
I love
You're
you,
the
man.
best.
Tell Connie I said hey too, man.
Back to you and Patricia, and I'll talk to you later. All right.
Later, buddy.
Bye.